Hey everyone, I hope you're finding a moment to just sort of pause and be still as you get your day going this morning.
Yeah, a little time for reflection.
Exactly. And that's kind of what we're going to do today in our deep dive. We were looking at uh, an entry from a devotional called Faithful to Finish. And it's based on that great verse from Philippians.
Philippians 1.6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love that verse. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. I mean, that is such a powerful thought for me to start the day with.
I think so too. And this devotional really kind of unpacks the layers of meaning in that verse.
Absolutely. And the thing that really stood out to me was the emphasis on trusting in God's plan, even when we feel like things in our lives are, so far from finished or complete.
Yes. And that's a really human experience, right? To always feel like we're in process, like a work in progress.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's where that idea of faith comes in,
Yeah.
Like even when we can't see the finish line,
Mm-hmm.
we trust that God is working.
And I think that's where that verse from Philippians is just so powerful. It's like an anchor for us in those moments of uncertainty.
Right. Because it's a promise. It's not just like a, nice sentiment. It's like,
God saying, I've got this.
exactly. It's like a declaration from God saying, I started this and I'm going to see it through.
And that applies to every area of our lives, right? Not just our, spiritual growth, but also, our relationships, our work, our dreams.
And I think that's what the devotional was getting at too. Like, it's not just about reaching some sort of, ultimate destination,
Right,
but it's about that journey
right.
and trusting that God is with us every step of the way.
Exactly. Yeah, it's about transformation. It's about that ongoing work that God is doing in us.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think that's where the real challenge comes in.
Yeah,
Like it's one thing to say, oh yeah, I trust God.
right.
But it's another thing to actually live that out when we're facing difficulties or setbacks.
Absolutely. And the devotional actually invites us to really think about this personally. It asks us to write down one way you've seen God's faithfulness in your life.
Oh, wow. I love that.
And I think, even if we just take a minute right now to reflect on that,
Mm-hmm.
it can be a really powerful way to connect with that truth that God is faithful and he is working in our lives.
Totally. And it doesn't have to be some grand miracle or anything. It could
Yeah.
be something small,
Yeah.
like a moment where you felt God's presence or a time when you were struggling and you felt God's strength carrying you through.
Exactly. And, when we remember those moments, those little glimpses of God's faithfulness,
Mm-hmm.
it strengthens our faith and it gives us hope for the future.
Absolutely. And then the devotional ends with a short prayer. Lord, thank you for your faithful work in my life. I trust you to complete it. Amen.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It really is. And it just kind of, brings it all back to that place of surrender and trust.
Yes. It reminds us that we don't have to have all the answers. We just have to trust in God's goodness and his plan.
And I think that's a perfect note to end on, As we go about our day, let's just hold on to that thought that God is faithful. He is working in our lives, and he will see it through to completion.
And, as you go about your day, maybe just ask yourself this. If I truly believe that God is working in me, how does that change the way I interact with the people around me, the way I approach my work, the way I face challenges?
That's a great question to ponder.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive today, and let's carry this message of hope and trust with us.
all day long.
Absolutely. Have a great one, everybody.